Greetings, my name is Hannah Ranu Elm, slave name Joyce Marie Carter, and I'm sharing this video with you today to share what a fraud and what a perpetrator and how Taj Tariq Bey and RV publication are misleading the masses.
And welcome to Facts or Frauds. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, you're subscribed, and ring that bell for notifications so the next time I premiere a video you can be in a live chat with everyone else and leave a comment in the comment section, tell me what you think. Now, let's check out a Moorish National in court getting schooled.
I was wondering if I could have Mr. Mason first, so a breakout room with the courtroom.
Okay. So, Mr. Mason and Ms. Shawn, courtroom. Then you'll be in breakout room number 3.
Thank you.
Soon after.
Ms. Shawn, did you have an announcement?
Yes, sorry, Your Honor. I was just trying to see if there was anybody else left that I needed to speak with, but I do have an announcement on Mr. Mason.
Okay.
He would like to plead no on the first case ending in 4970. He'd like to plead no to count 1. The state is going to no pros count 2, and he'd also like to plead no on count 3.
Okay. All right. What about the second case?
Yes, Your Honor. On the second case, he wants to plead no on all of the ones that aren't null prosing, and I'm trying to pull up my list again. So it's going to be no to count 1. I believe the state is going to null pros count 2. Wants to plead no to count 3. I think they're going to null pros count. I'm sorry, he wants to do no to count 4. I think they're null pros in count 5. No to count 6. I think they're null pros in count 7. They're null pros in count 8. Null pros in count 9. No to count 10 and no to count 11.
All right.
I can.
Well, let me go ahead and take Mr. Mason's plea, and that way he can get started. And then we'll put you in a breakout room with Mr. Wilson. Is the state ready on Mason, Eric Mason, 2 cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Mason is before the court with Mr. Mitch. Come on out, Mr. Mason. All right. So, Mr. Mason, you're before the court on 2 cases. Case 2022 CR 04970 for speeding 11 to 15 miles per hour over the limit, no tag light, and obstruction of an officer. You're represented by the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Chelsea Hahn is with you. She has indicated that you wish to enter a plea of nolo to counts 1 and 3. Count 2 will be null pros. Raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right. So you're before the court on case 2023. You can put your hand down. 2023 CR 08452. Eric Santana Mason Jr. for counts 1, driving on a suspended or revoked license. Count 2, no license. Count 3, obstruction of an officer. Count 4, no insurance. Count 5, invalid registration. Count 6, no tag or expired or invalid tag. Count 7, improper display of tag. Count 8, possession of a drug-related object. Count 9, marijuana 1 ounce or less. Count 10 and 11, open container for both. You're entering a plea to counts of nolo to counts 1, 3, 4, 6, and 10 and 11. Counts 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9 will be no pros per the state, per the agreement between the parties. Now, Mr. Mason, by entering these pleas, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things? You got to speak up, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Right. Factual basis and recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor. For the case ending in 04970 on May 20th of 2022, while on duty at Norman Road and Riverdale Road, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, an officer initiated a traffic stop as he observed a motor vehicle being operated by what was determined to be Mr. Eric Mason at the speed of 59 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. And additionally, that the car did not have a tag light. The officer initiated the traffic stop, made contact with the driver. As the officer was initiating the traffic stop, approaching the vehicle, Mr. Mason decided to lock the doors and rolled all the windows up. The officer asked for the defendant's driver's license and advised why he had been pulled over. The officer could see that the defendant had an ID card in his hands, but he refused to give it to him. Then the defendant asked for a supervisor. The officer advised that he was a supervisor. The defendant then asked for a duty captain. The officer explained that's not the proper procedure. Then Mr. Mason began to take out his phone to record the officer. Wants to know if the officer's body camera was operable. The officer replied that it was. Mr. Mason advised that he's not a sovereign, but he is a nationalist.
National.
And the officer advised Mr. Mason to open the door. He refused to open the door. The officer did get a sergeant out to the location. And then after the several attempts for the officer to obtain Mr. Mason's ID, once the sergeant arrived on the scene, then Mr. Mason rolled the window down. He had a passport card.
No!
But he did have the driver's license. At any rate. So the state is recommending $100 fine for the speeding, dismiss the count 2, and $300 for the obstruction.
Anything on behalf of your client, Ms. Hahn?
No, Your Honor, we just ask that you accept the recommendation.
All right, count 1 is $100 fine. It'll be $151.50 with the surcharges, and count 3 is a $300 fine. It'll be $444 with the surcharges. Did you wish to pay those today, or did you wish to have additional time?
Your Honor, on the second case, one of the state is recommending a probated sentence to pay the fines. So
we'll count 3 will be concurrent with count 1, and the case ending the case 2022CR04970. There's the sentence from that case will run concurrent with 2023CR08452. All right, and on case 08452, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On September the 16th of 2023, while an officer was on patrol of Fayetteville Road and West Mill Street, where the incident occurred in Clayton County, he observed a motor vehicle being operated by the defendant, later determined to be Eric Mason. The vehicle had a tag cover covering the tag, making it unreadable. The officer initiated a traffic stop. Upon the officer's approach of the vehicle, the officer smelled an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. At that time, Mr. Mason offered his passport card as ID. The officer advised Mr. Mason that he needed a driver's license. Mr. Mason said that he did not need to give it to him because he was traveling, not driving. Mr. Mason did not supply the officer with a driver's license. The officer requested an additional unit. GCIC check was performed, determined that Mr. Mason's license had been suspended in February for a super speeder. Additionally, the GCIC check determined that the vehicle had no insurance and a suspended registration. And let's see. At that time, the officer advised the defendant that his license was suspended and asked him to exit the vehicle. Mr. Mason advised that he was not going to step out of the vehicle. The officer then had to break out the window.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Mason was taken into custody. All right. Count one is a $500 fine. Count two be dismissed. Count three is a $300 fine. Count four is a $200 fine. Count five would be dismissed. Count six would be a $100 fine. Count seven would be no pros. Count 8 would be no pros. Count 9 would be no pros. Count 2 would be a $200 fine suspended. And count, I'm sorry, I said 2, 10. Count 10, 200 suspended. Count 11 would be 6 months probation, a $200 fine, and no drugs or alcohol, random screening and testing.
All right, Ms. Hahn. So, Ms. Hahn, let me just get a general what the money looks like before we talk about ability to pay, interest in paying. So the $500 fine is going to be $737.50 with the surcharges. The $300 fine is going to be $444.50. The $200 fine is going to be $298 with the surcharges. The $100 fine is going to be $151.50 with the surcharges. The $200 fine as part of the probation is going to be $298. And I'm not a mathematician by any means, but we're looking at that's 1,000. That's 500, 700, 800. We're looking at $2,000 with that, and the other case was about $2,300
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
fines and fees. And if 6 months is not going to do it, then we need to discuss something else.
Yes, Your Honor. I estimated a little bit higher when I discussed it with Mr. Mason. I estimated around $2,500. And so he's aware that it would be a large amount. We would ask that the probation terminate upon payment of the fines, but he is aware that it was going to be in the mid $2,000 range. All
right. So the next thing, Mr. Mason. So I believe in standing on your principles, but I think you have to examine whether those principles are of the type that you should be standing on, because everything that you read on the internet or everything that somebody instructs you will work is not true. There is an established judicial system in this country that's been working for years and years and years. And there's changes every once in a while, but certain things don't change. If you get a citation on the road, you're going to need to show, if they pull you over, you're going to need to show a driver's license. You have a privilege to drive that the state gives you. And with that comes a driver's license. With that comes the responsibility to register. With that comes the responsibility to have insurance. Because I promise you, all of this fancy stuff you talking about will go out the window if somebody hit your car and you needed to have it repaired and they didn't have registration, they didn't have insurance, and they didn't have a dime to give you to repair it. All of this fancy stuff that you talk about goes out of the window if you become a victim of a crime. And so I want you to consider how this a simple traffic stop went from a simple traffic stop to you getting your window broken out and getting pulled out of your car and getting $2,500 fine. I promise you, when I was in magistrate court, when I would morning watches, when the guys would come in the morning after they've been on the road all night, and they come in asking for warrants. And the only time I've seen where they loading somebody up with 10, 12, 9, 10, 12 traffic charges is because they are irritated. Either you have made that officer run or you have made them go way further than they need to for a simple traffic stop. I promise you, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm telling you what I've seen and what I know happens. And so you don't get this many traffic offenses because they just out to get you. You get this many when you piss them off. And I'm just going to be real with you. I promise you, I had an officer come in there. He had like 12 things. I was like, I am not doing defective headlights in the daylight. No, I'm not doing that. I mean, he literally was trying to find every code section he could charge. And so sometimes I don't know whether your principles are worth it to you to the tune of $2,500, but I promise you, if it was reversed, if somebody had hit your car, you would want them to have insurance. Because you would want to have the ability to get your car fixed or to get your body fixed if you were hurt. And so I want you to think about all of this. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. That don't even make a bit of sense. I don't even know how you contort that into something that makes sense. But what I want you to remember is all of this stuff that you're doing, if you were in the other seat and you needed somebody to have insurance because they hit your car, you don't want them to be a national. You got me?
Okay. So
I mean, take it for what it is. I'm just saying, you're looking at $2,500 that you didn't have to pay because this could have been handled differently. All right. So I've discussed with your attorney the 6 months to pay. Please understand that I'll roll all of these into the 6 months. If you're not able to pay it within that 6 month period of time, an arrest warrant may issue. And it may also be a violation of probation if you're not making the payments as ordered. So on count 1, it's a $500 fine. Count 2, $300 fine. Count 4, $200 fine. Count 6, $100 fine. Count 10, $200 fine suspended. Count 11, 6 months on probation, a fine in the amount of $200 with the fines and fees, no alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your probation, and you're subject to random screens for alcohol and drugs. Count 1, count 3, count 4, count 6, count 10 will all be concurrent with count 11. And the previous case will be concurrent with the case 2023CR08452. I'm going to ask you to meet with Mr. Carmichael, who is in down the hall in courtroom 301. As you enter the courtroom, you look to your to your right, and he'll be in that office. Please make sure you do not leave the courthouse until you get your set up with probation. And once you've done that, then you'll be free to go. Okay.
In your honor, I just want to make sure, will the probation terminate if he is able to pay within the 6 months?
Yeah, I don't have any need to stress this beyond the 6 months that it is. If he's able to pay within the 6 months and he doesn't test positive for alcohol or illicit drugs, then I'm fine with it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Mason, just go out the hall. When you go out of the doors, turn to your left, go down the hall to courtroom 301. When you get to courtroom 301, go in the double doors, and then you'll see Mr. Carmichael's office on your right. Okay.
Okay.
All right, sir. And I'm just saying, this $2,500 you could have used for something else. Okay. All right. Take care.
Well, if that hasn't got Oscar written all over it, I'll eat my invitation to the award ceremony.
And thanks for joining us on Facts or Frauds. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, you subscribed, and ring that bell for notifications so the next time I premiere a video, you can get a live chat with everyone else and leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think. And a special thank you to our channel members Robert Morley, Andy, Chris Kelling, Goddess of Tooth, Pedro Whack-A-Mole, CW1960, Shawn OldFart, Drew B, Pat's Cats, Butcherbird, Westside Girl Reacts, and Jason Heaton. Wanishi, thank you. I appreciate you all. If you'd like to become a member, just hit that join button right next to subscribe or click on the link in the description. And if you're still hanging around, thank you. I appreciate you all. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, tell me what you think, and I'll see you soon.